Hello friends, today I will be giving you the explanation for Chapter 7 of novel 3 Men in a Boat. If you like it, subscribe my channel and press bell icon for more videos. The narrator's dress sense. The river afforded a good opportunity for dress. Men could reflect the tastes in colors. The narrator liked a little red in all his things, red and black. His hair was a sort of golden brown, so the dark red matched with his hair. A light blue necktie went well with it. A pair of Russian leather shoes and a red silk handkerchief round the waist added charm to his personality. Harris's dress sense. Harris kept to shades a mixture of orange or yellow, but in his opinion they didn't suit him well. His complexion was too dark for yellows, but he didn't pay attention to any suggestion. George's dress sense. George had bought some new things for this trip, but the narrator was rather vexed about them. The blazer was gaudy. He did not want George to know about his opinion. The narrator and Harris were worried about it because it would attract attention to the boat. Girls in a boat. Girls also didn't look bad in a boat, if they were prettily dressed. But he was of the opinion that a boating dress ought to be a dress that can be worn in a boat. The narrator once went with two ladies of this kind. They were both beautifully dressed. But they were dressed for a photographic studio, not for a river picnic. The first thing that they thought was that the boat was not clean. They thought that a drop of water would ruin the dress. Jim was stroke. He did his best, but could not prevent a few drops of water falling on the clothes. He left his seat and asked another man to row. The ladies felt relieved, but when the man spread more than a pint of water on the dresses, they began to protect themselves with their umbrellas and drew rugs and coats over themselves. The narrator's dislike of tombs. Harris wanted to get out at Hampton Court and visit Mrs. Thomas's tomb. The writer objected to it. He is reminded of his visit to a village church. It was a lovely landscape. Suddenly the narrator looked up and saw an old bald-headed man coming to him. He was carrying a huge bunch of keys in his hand that shook and jingled at every step. He insisted that Jim should see the tomb. Jim protested. The old bald-headed man persisted, and requested him to see the memorial windows. He burst into tears and asked Jim to see the skulls at least. Jim had to run away from the scene. Harris's liking for old places. Harris, who was interested in tombs, graves, epitaphs and monuments, revealed that he had joined the trip to see Mrs. Thomas's tomb. Jim reminded him that they had to reach Shepperton by 5 o'clock to meet George. This made Harris angry, and he said why George had not taken the day off and joined them at the start. He further remarked that he had never seen him doing any work. Mishap with Harris. Harris wanted to go to the pub to have a drink. Jim told him that they were miles away from a pub. He told Hams to take out a bottle from the hamper. The bottle was at the bottom of the hamper and seemed difficult to find, and he had to lean further and further. In trying to steer at the same time, he pulled the wrong line and sent the boat into the bank. This upset him and he dived down right into the hamper and stood here on his head, holding on the sides of the boat. He had to stay there till the narrator got hold of his legs and hauled him back. Chapter review. Characters. Jim. Narrator. Jim, the narrator, is proud of his dress sense. He appreciates his own appearance. He thinks that the tastes of men are better than those of women. He criticizes Harris and George for the tastes. He dislikes George's blazer because it is very gaudy. He broods about his friends and relatives. Harris, he revels in tombs, graves, epitaphs and monuments. He wants to visit Mrs. Thomas' grave. When the narrator objects to it, he gets angry. He talks ill of George in his absences. He says that he never does any work. When he can't have his way, he gets upset. He gets angry when he does not get a drink. He is about to fall from the boat because of his anger. Plot. The boat moves ahead. The narrator criticizes ladies for the dress sense. They do not know how to dress up for a boat ride. They spoil the fun of the companions. The narrator does not like Harris for expressing his desire to visit Mrs. Thomas Grave. Finally, he pacifies Harris, who was keen to visit Mrs. Thomas Grave.